What is up, enthusiasts? 80-Seater Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So, a few weeks ago, I came out with a video talking about if I were to own independent parks, as in parks that aren't a part of a bigger chain, but owned by a singular family or company. And I decided, due to the success of that video, I wanted to make a sequel out of it, talking about even more parks and in more detail. So in this video, I chose 5 different independent parks and put myself in the shoes of the owner or owners, and I want to make a few additions to each and every one of them. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is Cedar Flags, and today, this is what I would do if I owned some more independent parks. So, the first park I want to talk about is a park that I got to go to for the first time this year, Canopy Lake Park in Salem, New Hampshire. This park is absolutely beautiful, with many family-oriented areas and some pretty cool thrill rides, like Untamed. But, they just got rid of one of their thrill rides earlier in the decade. What was it? Well, Canopy Corkscrew was one of the first ever roller coasters to go upside down in the modern era, and it truly is sad that we do not have this ride anymore. But what would I do to replace this spot? Because when I went to the park, it was definitely an eyesore to see nothing in this area. So what would I do? Well, the first thing I would do is put a brand new coaster in a part of the area. What would that coaster be? Well, I think a really good fit for this park would be a Zamperla Twister Freeform, like Cedar Point's up-and-coming Wild Mouse. And why do I think that? Well, it would be the first spinning coaster at the park. It would have that perfect moderate family thrill, and it would be a great coaster in this side of the park, as this side of the park has no major coasters right now. But I would not be done expanding there. I would also want to see a thrilling but low to the ground flat ride as well. And what would that flat ride be? Well, since they already have a great relationship with Zamperla with that Wild Mouse coming, in my theory, I would love to see a Zamperla Blendez in this park. Now, none of these currently exist right now, but I think this has the perfect amount of uniqueness to be here at Canopy. Maybe have a little bit of a retro feel mixed with a modern thrill. I think with these two rides in a similar area and more room to expand for the water park, this park would be very well off. Up next, we have Lagoon in Farmington, Utah. Believe it or not, this is an independent park, and one of the biggest independently owned parks in the United States. In fact, I have not been to this park, but I have had many friends who've been to this park, and they have said very similar things about a certain area of the park. Now, the park itself is really nice according to them. Its coaster collection is insane, but one thing that is lacking that a lot of other parks have is a great water park. Laguna Beach is their water park. With a park the size of Lagoon, you would expect a much better and bigger water park. All they have is a rapids area, a pool area, and a collection of slides that look rather generic. So how would I do a little fixer-upper to this water park? Well, I would start off repainting some of the existing water slides. The old outdated blue colors kind of look a little weird to me, especially in a park as colorful as this, so I would love to see a new paint job on each and every one of these. I would also like to see 2 new water slides, one being a drop slide, like the capsule slides that are body slides, and then a raft slide, specifically a bowl slide. Now you would think that a park this size would have a water park with a bowl slide, but believe it or not, they do not. And I think that something like that, or something like a boomerango, or even a funnel, would work perfectly here. Now, the next park I want to mention is Playland Park in Rye, New York, otherwise known as just Rye Playland. Now, this is another park I got to experience for the very first time this year, and I had pretty mixed reviews about it. Now, the architecture of this park, beautiful. Dragon Coaster and the other classics, amazing. But it seemed like a few of those rides kind of stuck out like a sore thumb, like the Catch in Air, and, of course, Superflight. So, what would I do to make this park a little more charming? I would love to make the park more retro. Think of a park like the midways are all spruced up, and it just overall looks more like a retro trolley park era park. And I would love, and I mean love, to see this park have that transformation. Maybe close some of the rides like Catch in Air, and put something like a retro ride there. Put a rotor there, put a rolo plane there. Either way, I think that would be a very good fit for this park. Up next, we go to the sweetest place on earth, Hersheypark in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Now, I know whether it being an independent park or not is debatable. I will consider it one for the sake of this video, just because Hershey does not currently own any other parks besides Hersheypark. So, what would I do with Hersheypark? This park has got to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, independently owned parks in the country, if not the world. It boasts so many different lands and roller coasters, including 2 hypers. But what can we see in the future plans of this amusement park resort? Well, many people will point to a space problem that they have. They are running out of land to expand, but I have to disagree. And why do I disagree with that? Well, if you look all around Candemonium, you have dozens of acres of empty land that Hersheypark owns. If I owned Hersheypark, I would love to see a brand new area in this area. And a new area would boast so many new things, like a new midway, a bunch of different details, a brand new restaurant, and 2 new rides. What would I do with these 2 rides? Well, the first ride would be a brand new flat ride. More specifically, a Zamperla Super Air Race. They have added Zamperla creations in the past, and I would love, and I mean love, to see an inverting flat ride at this park. I would also love to see a brand new roller coaster in this area. I think their best fit currently would be a Mach Swing Launch Coaster, something similar to Steel Taipan or Capital Bullet Train. I think this would be a good fit because there is nothing like it in the park, and it would provide a moderate thrill to some of the people that want to try out their first launch coaster before getting on a ride like Storm Runner or something like Skyrush. Have this roller coaster intertwine with the rest of the area, and I think you got a pretty good deal with Hersheypark's next major expansion. Finally, we have quite possibly the most interesting park on this list. Going up to Niagara Falls, Canada, we have Marineland, one of the weirdest and most, let's say, controversial parks out there, stemming from their thousands of unused acres of land, to their treatment of animals, to some problems within the city itself. This park is definitely problematic. So what would I personally do to save a park in so much jeopardy? Well, I call it the SeaWorld approach. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you don't remember, SeaWorld was in a lot of controversy with their animals a few years back. And what did they do? They started closing the animal exhibits and replaced them with rides. Now, the park itself isn't really beautiful to say the least. This park is very empty. You walk hundreds of feet without seeing anything, and the midways are unbelievably large. So, what would I add? I would love to see something like a Mach multi-launch coaster, similar to Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, but with a terrain advantage. Maybe even something like Time Traveler with a Mach Extreme Spinner, but I would love to see a basic launch coaster at the very least. And when it comes to another ride, I would love, and I mean love, to see a water ride here. What kind of water ride? A modern Intamin River Rapids ride, similar to Infinity Falls at SeaWorld Orlando. I think with these 2 rides and maybe a little more food stands and restaurants, and a little cheaper of a price, this park could definitely bounce back to be one of the greatest parks in the region. So that was my video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and let me know what you thought about my particular decisions. Would they be good for the park or harmful? Anyways, give me some more parks to talk about in the future, and until next time, this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you all later.